on the 75th year of our journey. It's customary for us to begin any event with a safety briefing. In the event of anything, emergency situation that happens, please look out for the 4 exit doors that are there. There are one over here, just at the front of where I'm standing, 2 of them, and 2 on the side, and one which is exactly behind the screen. All these stairs, all these exits will take you to a staircase, which will take you to the ground floor of the building. Colonel Dange and his team are available here from the Bombay Stock Exchange, who will be able to guide. May I request all the youngsters in the crowd to please ensure that the elders are first escorted out of the building before they make the dash. We'll now have the national anthem played. May I request everyone to please be standing.
मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Our next item is the ceremonial lamp lighting ceremony. May I now request Mr. Mugundan, the Managing Director of Tata Chemicals, to invite the dignitaries for the lamp lighting. May I now request Mr. Mugundan to escort the 3 former managing directors and the Managing Director of the Bombay Stock Exchange and Mr. P.K. Ghosh onto the stage. I now request Mr. Mugundan to please address the gathering.
I'm going to good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nanda, and good morning, everyone. And really a warm welcome to all of you for being here with us. I'm going to keep watching this clock here in front of me because I'm told we have to strike the gong exactly at 9:15. Okay, good. It is my privilege and honor to welcome a distinguished gathering here, my fellow colleagues, for a wonderful, momentous event. Not many companies stay the course to see the Platinum Jubilee. Few that do count. It is also an auspicious day today as we celebrate 118th birth anniversary of a great son of India, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And like the famous sun from the eastern part of the country, who was known for grit and determination, this child of the West Coast in Gujarat also was one which went through many trials and tribulations to emerge as a fine company. Dr. Vikram Sarabhai is known to have called Tata Chemicals the Spartan child of the Indian industry. And for those who want to know what a Spartan child means, just Google, you'll realize the company's history has been exactly like a Spartan child. Before I go into a long speech, let me welcome our distinguished members of the board, present and the retired, Mr. Soonawala, Mr. Khanna, Mr. Mahesh Rao, Mr. Vadgama, Mr. Prasad Menon, Homi, Dr. Alag, Nasser, Dr. Thorat, Kapil. I just wanted to say your presence means a lot to us, sir, all of you. Thank you so much for taking your time and being with us today. I also want to thank many more, including those who are not present today. That is our beloved Chairman Emeritus, Mr. Tata, our Chairman, Mr. Mistry, Mr. Mistry is overseas now, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, who is traveling. They, along with our distinguished leaders like Mr. Kapil Ram Vakil, who saw the birth of Oka Salt Works, which actually predates our company by 12 years. Yes, a human baby spends 9 months in the womb. Our company spent 12 years before its birth as Tata Chemicals in the womb as Salt Works. And also Mr. Darbari Seth, who led the resurgent growth of this company. And they all gave us the vision and direction which took this company on a long journey of last 75 years. Yes, indeed, we have traveled a long road. On the 23rd Jan, we complete 75 years. So let me request my colleagues here to formally welcome the distinguished members of the board by a thundering round of applause. I also welcome all my colleagues who are present here and those who join us on a webcast from Mithapur, the birthplace of our company, the Janmabhoomi, and from Babrala. Babrala, I think, is our finest endeavor yet. Haldia, the baby amongst us. I'm told they are on holiday today due to Netaji's birth anniversary. Our teams from subsidiaries who are older than parent, like Magadi, which turned 100 years last year, team from erstwhile Brunamont, Northwich, UK, which was the second firm to go ahead with Solvay process in the world, and erstwhile General Chemicals, and Rallis India, which is amongst the oldest companies in the group, and finally Metahelix, our youngest child. I am joined by my colleague, Mr. Nanda, who addressed you in the beginning, and PK, who is with us on the dais, and many more who have tirelessly worked together, who along with me will take you through this journey today. I see today not as a culmination of last 75 years, but as a beginning of the next 75 years and beyond. Today is the first day of next 75 years. And as a famous poet Ghalib said, I'm going to now quote in Urdu, so please bear with me. हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसे की हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसे की हर ख्वाहिश में दम निकले बहुत निकले मेरे अरमान लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले. A tough translation of this is, there are 1,000 ambitions. Each such ambition could consume a lifetime. Yet all these ambitions and goals which I experience intensely aren't enough for one lifetime. Easier one, 1,000 ambitious goals, each one worth dying for. Many I have realized, yet I earn for more. And this company earns for more such 1,000 ambitions. So as we wait for the time to turn 9:15, so will be the bit of a time in between, and we go through this journey. For us, the journey has just begun. Hence, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमान लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले. Here is to wishing each and every one of you a wonderful journey ahead in the next 75 years. May we fulfill yet another set of हजारों ख्वाहिशें, yet another 1,000 ambitious goals and projects as we move along. And I think at this point, I'd like to just pause, maybe just wait for whenever you're ready to sort of strike the gong. Yeah? It's another 15 minutes? 13 minutes. Okay. Can we play the AV then? Yeah? There's an AV we have prepared for this event. Thank you.
A motivated man is set to move mountains. Our story started when one man decided to churn the sea. Salt and salt-based products had been the absolute monopoly of foreign companies, till Kapil Ram Vakil decided to challenge that. It was in J.R.D. Tata that he found a similar vision. And out of this partnership was born Tata Chemicals at Mithapur, Gujarat. Today, as Tata Chemicals, we have traversed a 75-year-long path in a journey that is exemplified in the annals of Indian history as one of trials and tribulations, and the triumph of the human spirit that was put to the test at the onset, as the Second World War threatened to halt our journey before it even began. But it was our belief and conviction that helped us sail through. This belief and conviction has always been a hallmark of Tata Chemicals, as seen in our leaders like Darbari Seth, whose vision saw beyond foreign technology. We harnessed saline water in place of fresh water and achieved our first 400 metric tons of production in the face of scanty rainfall. As we overcame our mountains, we endeavored to help others too. And in the year 1979, we established the Tata Chemical Society for Rural Development to improve the quality of life of communities around us. But we wanted to change more than communities. We wanted to change an entire nation. Iodine deficiency was a huge problem that threatened our country. We developed an ingenious solution. India's first iodized salt, Tata Salt. We even ensured that we put our waste to good use and established the Mithapur cement plant that used the byproducts of soda ash. Achieving the impossible has always been a habit of ours. And in 1994, we set up a fertilizer plant at Babrala in a record 36 months. Because we were led by leaders whose ambition knew no limits. Like Prasad Menon, in whose tenure, Tata Salt was ranked the #1 food brand in the Brand Equity Survey of India. Being the best in the country wasn't enough for us. While borders were finish lines for others, our race went beyond. In 2004, the Haldia plant joined the Tata Chemicals family. Morocco was the first step we took towards internationalization, and there was no stopping us after. We continued growing by acquiring UK-based Brunamon Group, one of the world's leading manufacturers of soda ash and associated alkaline products. And we carved a world identity when we acquired US-based General Chemical Industrial Products, GCIP, to become the world's second largest soda ash manufacturer. Yet, we never forgot our roots, as we addressed India's biggest social challenge, the need for safe drinking water, with Tata Swatch water purifiers, and strengthened the country with I Shakti Dal. Today, our journey has completed 75 years, and yet there is so much road to traverse, because while others are guided by their destinations, we make our own. We engineer our fate with sweat, passion, and dreams, and we never stop serving society through science. Tata Chemicals.
This is a joint event with BSC and Tata Chemicals. We have to play an AV of BSC also, so just we'll play that before the gong.
In 1875, as the Native Share and Stockbrokers Association, the BSE is the oldest stock exchange in Asia. The history of the BSE is the history of its people, the many men who founded the exchange, and the many people who took the torch forward and built it into the premier institution that it is today. There aren't many institutions in the country which can boast of having a 125-year-old history. Over this lifespan, the BSE has had good times and bad times. Adversity and the way those at the helm of affairs coped with it is what makes BSE today an institution that is vibrant and dynamic. The passing of the Companies Act 1850 paved the way for stock trading in India. But this activity could not pick up in the absence of a large basket of stocks available for trade. The number of shares available was few, and people did not really have large investable funds for trading in stocks. Brokers were a handful of only 6. There was no trading hall or stock exchange building, and whatever little trading that took place was carried out in the open, under the balmy shade of a banyan tree. The American Civil War, which resulted in an acute global shortage of cotton, changed all that. Lancashire mills had to turn to other sources, including India. As cotton was exported from India in large quantities, its price soared. Surat cotton, for example, went from a price of between 3 to 5 pence per pound to between 20 and 24 pence. Thus, between 1861 and 1865, export of cotton resulted in an unusual influx of wealth in the form of bullion amounting to 850 million rupees, much of which landed on the beckoning shores of Bombay. Naturally, this huge inflow of wealth sought investment opportunities. Such opportunities sprang up spontaneously and brought with them a new generation of visionaries who, being in the right place at the right time, played their designated role. Premchand Roychand, who by virtue of being the first Indian broker to read and write English, found himself eminently suited to lead the equities market in Mumbai to a new level. He floated or helped float several companies which sought equity investments. Initially, these shares commanded huge premiums, an offshoot of the paucity of investable outlets and a surfeit of funds. With the increase in activity, the number of brokers increased to between 200 to 250, as did their prestige and clout. When things cooled down at the end of the American Civil War, the organization build-up of the BSE started. At first, an informal association was created in between, and in 1887, the brokers formalized the arrangement through an indenture, spelling out Articles of Association of the Native Share and Stock Brokers Association. In July of 1875, 318 persons became, on payment of a princely sum of 1 rupee as entrance fee, members of the Stock Exchange Mumbai. They passed a resolution resolving to form an association for protecting the character, status, and interest of native share and stock brokers, and of providing a hall or building for the use of the members of the association. It wasn't until 1887, however, that they could formalize their resolution by a trust deed, which was the foundation of the present Bombay Stock Exchange. Men of great wisdom and vision pioneered the growth of the BSE. Sri Chunilal Motilal, a signatory to the original trust deed and the first president of BSE, saw the exchange through its most embryonic phase. Sri Shapurji Bharucha, who was knighted in 1912, was the second honorary president of the BSE. He was responsible for setting up rules and regulation of the exchange. Sri Kikabhai Premchand, the third president of BSE, was knighted in 1931. He later became the Sheriff of Bombay. Sri K.R.P. Shroff, who rose from being a teacher to the presidentship of the BSE, created an indelible impression and used his sterling character, impressive appearance, strength of will, and compassion for the benefit of the exchange. In 1916, he became a member of the exchange. In 1920, a director, and retained presidentship of BSE for 43 years between 1923 to 1966. Sri Firoz Jiji Boy also belonged to that generation of stalwarts. He played a stellar role in molding the Bombay Stock Exchange to its present status. He was instrumental in developing the Indian stock markets in general and BSE in particular. It was to commemorate his contributions, first as secretary of the BSE and later as its chairman, that the present stock exchange building was named after him.
We have a specially designed memento for the guests today, and may I request Mr. Mugundan to present them. Uh, Yeah, the first memento will be received by Mr. Chauhan, the MD of the Bombay Stock Exchange. Next to Mr. Vadgama. Next to Mr. P.R. Menon. To Mr. Homi Kushukan. Mr. Mundan, I'll request you to present it down for the others. Mr. R.C. Khanna. Mr. Soonawala. Mr. Mahesh Rao. Mr. Kapil Mehan. Dr. Alag. Dr. Thorat. And Mr. Nasa Munji. Thank you, Mr. Mohandan, for giving away the mementos. Yeah, there's a bit, it seems there's a custom of also the BSc presenting a memento to the company. So may I request Mr. Chauhan to present the same to and be received by Mr. Mohandan.
Thank you so much. There are covers for that. We'll get that organized. It's not just a glass block which you got. Uh, this was a very tension-filled moment, the countdown, but more tense than running a company. I didn't realize. But anyway, very inspiring AV, both BSc and Tata Chemicals. So, I spoke about Ghalib and what Hazaron Khaishein, but then I can't say what's going to unfold in front of you. I drew inspiration from one of the oldest poets India has ever known. And he comes from South, a great son of India, Thiruvalluvar. It's probably the oldest set of verses in India ever recorded. It's called Tirukkural. Tirukkural literally means the voice of the Lord. It was written probably in 2nd century BC. It's a long set of verses, so I'm not going to read all of them. But there are 3 verses which actually talk about qualities of a leader. It is in the context of a person or it is in the context of a company, but it does talk about 3 qualities of a leader. 3 verses which talk about qualities of leader. And I bring that in because you're going to hear our leaders speak to you today. So you're going to hear the people who led the company or with us today who are going to speak to us. And this particular verse I've chosen from Tirukkural, it reads like this. It's in Tamil, so please bear with me, and I'll translate it for you. Anjamai igai arivu ukkam inangum enjamai vendarukku iyalbu. I'm sure nobody understood this. Even I can't understand because it's very pure Tamil. Tamil is probably the oldest living language. Anjamai means fearlessness, which means a leader must be fearless. Igai is charity and care. A leader must have caring character. Arivu is wisdom, brain, which is wisdom. And Ukkam is effort. And these 4, Thiruvalluvar said, are the key characteristics of great leadership. So not only this has been displayed by our leaders who are going to speak to us, our chairman, our vice chairman, and the 3 past MDs. Each one of these people have displayed this in full measure. But I also know that this is what we have to display in each one of our team members if you have to take this journey forward for the next 75 years. So here is to fearlessness, care, wisdom, and effort. And you're going to hear our vice chairman first, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. We recorded this for this event.
Hello, dear colleagues. It's a great pleasure to be able to speak to you. I wish I could have done so in person, but I have a message on this very joyous occasion. Our company, which all of us are so privileged to serve, is reaching the so-called mature age, 75 years. 75 years is a fairly long journey for a human being, but not necessarily for a company. There are companies which last much longer. And I would like to believe that we have a company, our company, which has a lifespan, which is much in excess of 75 years. And it is from that spirit that I'm speaking to you today, because many things have happened, but many more things are to happen. The journey was exciting, it's going to become even more exciting, and it is worthwhile for me to share just a few thoughts. The people who have undertaken this journey are the employees. This company has a history which suggests that at every stage, relentless pursuit of goals, diligence and patience to overcome obstacles have characterized the way people in this company worked. It has come across all sorts of odds: shortage of water, not having a technology as to how to make a product, having to learn everything from ground zero, having to set up what was effectively, by today's terms, a pilot plant, and expanding it gradually over 50 years into a huge, modern, sprawling chemical plant. These are not easy challenges to overcome. And I reckon that over the last many years, there would be at least 10 to 15,000 people, if not more, who have offered their sweat and their shraddha to this company. And I would first of all like to compliment, congratulate and remember them, because this company wouldn't be what it has become but for the efforts made by so many people over such a long period of time. We have set on this course in the company to say that we will service the essentials of life, industry, and food. And we have indeed come on that journey a long way. There are many technological innovations that have happened in this company which have cracked codes of manufacture, which have reached levels of energy efficiency, which are quite distinctive and which are recognized in the appropriate circles of cognoscenti in those fields. But when you look ahead, I would like to see Tata Chemicals service customers with far more proximity than in the past. In the past, the mere cracking of a particular production code or process code helped Tata Chemicals to expand and be in business. But in the future, it will not be so. In the future, solving real problems of real consumers firsthand will be the way to go. And so I would like to think of Tata Chemicals in the future as the company that provides chemistry solutions to real problems. And that's a very significant shift in the way to think. That merely manufacturing with huge asset-intensive methodologies to produce vast quantities with scale is not necessarily the only way forward. There could be opportunities and we should take them. But the real way forward is to have such a deep understanding of consumers, and consumers may be individual household consumers or industrial consumers, industrial customers. And I would like to see Tata Chemicals invest a lot more money in knowledge, innovation, and marketing and customer needs than it has in the past. And it is this differentiator, in my view, and the ability to make the transition from where Tata Chemicals has been to where it wants to be that provides the greatest challenge. And to every employee in Tata Chemicals, I say if you're in for some fun, the ride is yours. If you think the fun is without risks, then you're mistaken. But come and have this fun, because this is your company and this is the company that you are going to create for the future. I wish all the employees, our partners, customers, distributors, and everybody in our ecosystem all the very best in the many years ahead, because I think very, very fondly, but more importantly, I think very optimistically about what Tata Chemicals could be in the future. Thank you and good luck.
So I think there's some intelligence issues. The computers are getting more and more intelligence. They were providing extra sound, let's say background music to this speech. That is because the script of BSc also running in the background. We'll just correct that. But clearly a message which is directing us in terms of what the future ought to be. But in more than that, I think no company goes towards the future without transforming itself. It's a journey, as I said. And I described the qualities of the journey, and there was a description of the journey itself. We are extremely fortunate. Not many companies have 3 of their past managing directors who would be around, would be willing to be with us, and this is 100% strike rate. Not many would have 100% strike rate in getting all their past retired MDs together on one platform. And it is really my honor and privilege, and thank you so much, sir, because this company is what it is because of the efforts you put in. We are just reaping the benefits of your efforts. And at this point, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Vadgama, our senior most managing director here present. Floor is yours, sir.
Good morning to everybody. For me, it's a great pleasure and honor to be here along with you on this happy occasion of the Platinum Jubilee of the company. It was some 64 years back that I joined this great company, and it is my privilege of serving the company for nearly 44 years continuously. I have thoroughly enjoyed every moment of that time. I retired in some 20 years back in 1994. But here we have seen a great presentation of what all things Tata Chemicals has gone through and how it grew. I will try to give a little bit my version of this 44 years of my career, what we went through and what we did in a nutshell. Tata Chemicals had built an entirely new chemical complex in Mithapur, aided by the great gigantic efforts and by the great pioneer, Mr. Kapil Ram H. Vakil. It was still in the startup mode when I joined there. I was really amazed at the vastness of the complex and also was equally amazed by the large number of people, personalities running that show there at that time. It may not be out of place if I just narrate about that. Obviously, it was all under the great leadership of legendary Mr. J.R.D. Tata at Bombay office. To name a few whom I saw in those initial 8-10 years, one Mr. C.R. Rao, technical director, visited continuously almost every month. Mr. M.B. Bhagwat was work superintendent totally in charge. Mr. T.S. Ram, work secretary. Mr. J.C. Dastur, finance and accounts. Mr. P.D. Nargolwala, superintendent soda ash. Also a group of qualified chemical engineers like Mr. J.D. Yadya, Mr. H.P. Shroff, Mr. Darbari Sheth, Mr. K. Singhe, Mr. S.K. Vakil, Mr. P.V.S. Manyam, Mr. Prabhakar, and several, there were so many engineers also, like Mr. D.R.K. Rao, C.M. Shah, F.K. Javeri, M.D. Palewala, H.T. Dotiwala, and many others. And I had a great pleasure of working with all of them. It is impossible naturally to name everyone, but let me offer my highest respects and the salutations in humble tribute to these dedicated individuals and many hundreds of others that I happen to work with in my 44 years career. Talking about soda ash plant, there were two foreign experts helping us to set the soda ash plant right. But I think it was proving very difficult for them. Around mid-1953, these experts left rather unsuccessfully. And I am told that with some negative remarks to the management saying that this plant will never work, the TCL is at a wrong place and they should get out from this place at the earliest possible. But it didn't bother the Tata management because in the true Tata tradition, the management never gave up. Enthused by the strong backing of the management at Bombay, the group of Mithapur went into action. Without creating and caring for the negative remarks of the foreign experts, we simply forged ahead, putting our own ideas into the plant, and we succeeded in working the plants successfully till about 1955. I want to say that my role at that time was mainly in designing, constructing, and installing the equipment, but not in the production. I took over the production responsibilities of the total works only in 1980. In early 1956, late Mr. Darbari Sheth returned to Mithapur after his completion of his studies in USA. In an ambitious scheme of expansion of the soda ash plant in the name of FHTP was launched. And under his bold leadership, it was fully implemented by early 1960s. And this was done in the face of many dire adversities and the scarcities, lack of resources of that time. Among them, the most efficient, most difficult that threatened the closure of the entire complex was the water crisis because of the several droughts. But we resolved that too in many innovative manners to our advantage. Success of FLTP took the soda ash plant to 150,000 tons per year, and simultaneously it gave us a tremendous boost to our in-house technical expertise. Pardon me. On the strength of it, we expanded to 300,000 tons and went on to 500,000 tons. I am sure that some of the people here may remember the celebrations of hitting 1,400 tons per day in ever celebrations hitting 1,400 tons per day, first time ever in 1980, December 1980. By that time, licensing of the soda ash was eased, and it prompted us to take the Mithapur to 1 million tons of soda ash per day. So, soda ash per year. It was by the year of 1988, 89 that we achieved that milestone that we wanted. However, I must say that we were not satisfied with Mithapur alone. We felt locked up in one of the remotest corner of the Western India, and we wished to break, we wished to break free. Pardon me. We desired that we should go at different regions of the country and also go abroad. We planned to enter the fertilizer industry, but being a Tata company, we took more than 15 years to get the permissions. It was only in the second half of 80s that we were established, we were enabled to spread our wings into that direction. We then lost no time in constructing a large complex of 1 million tons urea fertilizer at Babrala in UP. That plant went into stream in mid-1994. Many of the people here may remember, and they have done a lot of good work in building that plant. It's a matter of pride for the company that the Babrala fertilizer unit is considered one of the most energy efficient. And I think it has remained so even after these 20 years, even now. Thus, we created a second base for the company, though it was in India, but our fervent hope of going abroad remained a pipe dream. That dream, I'm happy to say, has brought to reality by the present group of the management in the last 2 decades. That, in short, was this brief story of the 44 years of Tata Chemicals. That what has happened thereafter under the highly visionary chairman and equally capable management group is a sea change. We have already witnessed those events in the finest presentations a few minutes ago and did not need any description further. These bold and successful diversifications have taken the company to a stellar heights, I would say Himalayan heights. I venture to say this magnificent performance of the company over the last 2 decades speaks volume of the highly experienced board of directors, line of very talented MDs, vice chairman, and above all, the most visionary chairman, Mr. Tata. On the same note, I appreciate the services rendered by the hundreds of the young, dedicated staff of the company, sitting right here, and as well as thousands of more that I call them the frontline fighters at Babrala, Mithapur, and Haldia. Lastly, I want to express my best wishes to further accelerated growth of the company in the years to come, and welfare and growth to all participating people, including the valued customers, suppliers, distributors, and other negatives. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vadgama, for those inspiring words and history. I spent some time at the Sharda. I'm going away from the script at the Sharda Vidyapeeth there in Dwarka, and I was speaking to a Pujari there. He has his own story, and I was telling him. He asked me how is the company. I said, company in India is fine, but we got issues. So he says, don't worry, this company, I'll tell you something about this company. So he gave his version of the story. Firstly, he told me that When this company was built, his grandfather worked there, and the chimney which was first built, erected, was the highest chimney east of Constantinople. And apparently at the top of the chimney, the local Rabaris built a platform at the top of the chimney, and he said you could see Karachi on a clear day. I don't know about that, but I think certainly he said that they built a platform and they did Ras Leela there. And he said that Rabaris, after they do Ras Leela, nothing can go wrong for that company. He assured me nothing can go wrong. He says, whether you pray here or you don't pray here, their Ras will save us. So this is the version of one of the pujaris in Dwarka. So as we say in Mithapur, we don't run the plant by DCS, but by Dwarka control system. That's one of the jokes going around there. Mr. Vadgama spoke about the internationalization of the company, which came to fruition. And really the person who is to be credited for taking the company beyond the shores of India, as a first baby steps, couple of baby steps, is the person who's going to speak to us. He walked literally into fire, and and into shaking ground. So there was a fire, there was an earthquake, and those terrible times, but then he sort of, with his own smiling little face, he sort of managed the company through the crisis. And we're all eager to hear, sir, your few words. Thank you. Over to you, Prasad.
Thank you, Mukund, Mr. Chavan, and all my friends. Thank you for inviting me here. It's been an absolute privilege to be associated with this company. You know, all of us, I think, have seen or read many books and many articles describing why many companies have lived as long as they have. 75 years, 100 years, 150 years, and so on. And there have been many reasons given as to why they've lived that long and successfully, which has ranged from the values of the company, to the products and the services of the company, to the leadership, and so on. But when I look back at Tata Chemicals and the little experience that I've had here, I'd really like to talk about three things that I believe that this company has in its soul, and which has helped it in the past and will continue to help it to grow and withstand all the pressures. The first one is resilience. It displays enormous resilience. And we heard from Mukund, as well as from the little movie, about the kind of problems that this company has faced right from its inception. And I think there was a little quote from Mr. Tata, Mr. J.R.D. Tata, about how somehow or other this is a company that has withstood so many unfortunate events, and yet it has plowed on. And it's amazing how it's able to take mishaps, blows, external issues, all kinds of problems, and still continue to do well, continue to grow. And that resilience is amazing. The second one is just spirit. The spirit of the people who have been a part of this company in the past, who are a part of the company today. And Mukund spoke about how warmly I was welcomed into Tata Chemicals in Mithapur, first with a terrible earthquake, and then within a month after that, this terrible fire in Mithapur in the power plant. And I still remember I got the message, I was in Delhi on that day, and I got the message that there's been this terrible fire, and I was wondering how the people would have taken it. I somehow managed to get back to Mithapur and be with them and talk to them and understand what was going on. I actually thought that this would have demoralized the company completely, and particularly the people in Mithapur. You can't, I mean, very few companies and very few organizations and very few families can take an earthquake followed shortly by a devastating fire. But to my amazement, I witnessed the enormous spirit displayed by the people in Mithapur. They were not going to let these events overwhelm them. They were ready with a plan of how they would bring the plant back. They were ready with how they would bring power back into the housing colony, and how thereafter they would start running the plant. It was absolutely amazing, and in fact it inspired me and helped me to get over my own despondency after these events. So this was the second thing that I think has been displayed by this company and its people and its leaders in the past, which has helped enormously. The third one, I think, is its closeness to nature. It's an amazing case study, if you like, and an amazing understanding of the whole concept of sustainability, which we talk about today, and which is foremost in our minds as the challenge of the future. And yet here is this company, established in the harshest of environments. I mean, not too many people would go to Mithapur today, given a choice. It gets its raw material from the sea. It uses the power of the sun as its fuel. It gets water actually as a byproduct, although the plant was set up to get water, and actually get a product which went on to be one of the greatest brands in the country. And we've got Kapil here who helped to create that. And we have a surrounding around the plant which has actually become a nature preserve. It's an amazing story of sustainability and an understanding of nature and an understanding of the community and its interaction with an organization like Tata Chemicals. So it's, to my mind, these are three reasons, or these are three parts of the DNA of this company that has helped it to be what it is today. And it's an amazing story. I once again would like to thank Mukund and all my friends and colleagues here. As I said, it's been an enormous privilege, which I shall never forget. And part of my heart is always in Mithapur. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
I'm sure part of your heart is in Mithapur, Babrala, and Haldia. Haldia was your first child which came into the family as acquisition. I'm going to tell you a story. 1944, I think 4 or 5 years after we went into production in Mithapur for soda ash, this company started retrenching people. I've seen the letters of people being asked to go, of employees who work here, their father and their granduncles in Mithapur. They shared that letter with me. This was the first time we said that what apparently happened is that we decided to shut the plant, Mithapur plant. Voluntarily, not because soda ash was not being produced, we voluntarily decided to shut the plant, and the reason was Magadi. Magadi came into production, and 40,000 tons of soda ash started arriving from Magadi, and in so many years ago, and that was the cause of the first shake-up which this company had to go through. And when Homi took over, he was shaken up by Magadi again, because we had expanded and built a PAM plant, pure ash plant, and Homi suffered the entire fate of the PAM plant not running well. Every week it would break down, and that was the trial he went through. But not to be stopped, he not only corrected that, and then he made the big leap. I was absolutely, truly amazed. I worked very closely with him on this. The biggest acquisition, he acquired a company 2.5 times our size. I thought it was not possible. And here is a man who should be credited for getting General Chemicals in our midst. And that was the finest acquisition I've seen. Homi.
Mr. Sonawala, Mr. Chauhan, friends, delighted to be with you today, this auspicious day. And it brings back a flood of happy memories of my 5 years with Tata Chemicals. When I retired from Glaxo after 29 years in pharmaceuticals, I never thought I would work in another industry. And then as fate would have it, I worked in 2 others, tea and then chemicals. But certainly when I look back and hand on heart, and certainly genuinely, I feel the happiest days of my life, working life, were my 5 years with Tata Chemicals. I think what Prasad said is absolutely right. It's the people in the company which make a difference. And this company left behind a lot of friendships, people who I will treasure my friendships with, people like Prasad, Gopal, the entire top table at the time. We used to have this habit of going off on retreats to Lonavala for 3 days, 4 days at a stretch. And it was great fun just being together and talking to each other. And certainly those memories will live on in my mind. I think I was very fortunate. I took over after really the difficult days which Prashad faced. And our agenda was focused on growth. And of course, the General Chemicals was a big acquisition. And I remember it wasn't only me which drove it. I think Mukund is giving me the credit, but he pushed me. He was the guy behind me pushing all the time. And of course, our chairman, who, when I said, this is an acquisition worth doing, and he said, why are you guys sitting here? You should be sitting in New York. And that sort of put some fire behind us, and we rushed to New York and closed the deal. Another challenge was the setting up of the Innovation Center, which was also great fun, working with scientists, looking at their whims and fancies, but it's great fun being with scientists, and we thoroughly enjoyed that. Babrala was a wonderful experience, fantastic, efficient plant. Kapil was very much there at the time. I remember the wonderful forests there, the water bodies. You never believed that would be a fertilizer plant. And of course, those collection of swords of honor we used to pick up every year. I don't know how many there'll be now, but there'll be enough to have an army fighting with swords now. Agriculture, experiences of working with TKS, developing our own insights into agriculture and the problems of agriculture. Another happy memory was winning the JRD Award, which is a fantastic honor for this company. I also enjoyed all the little initiatives which the company did, the fun initiatives, Urja, Awaz, Manthan, Udan. I must have forgotten a few, but all of them were great. And then, of course, we had the excitement of looking after flamingos in Lake Tetron. And, of course, our own little whale shark project in Mithapur, which were also wonderful experiences. I think there are two occasions when I remember sweating when I was running Tata Chemicals. The first was on the day I took charge. I phoned Mithapur to talk to the head of the factory at the time, Sanjeev Lal, and I said, Sanjeev, can I talk to you? He said, sir, I'll call you back. We have a bit of an emergency today. I said, oh my God, what's happened? Ammonia leak. Oh my God. I said, it was my first day in office, ammonia leak. So for the next 1.5 hours, I was sitting there sweating in the office. And when I finally got through to Sanjeev, I said, Sanjeev, what's happened? Is everything under control? Don't worry, sir. Emergency drill. The second time I sweated was when I had to give a talk in Gujarati in Mithapur. 20 minutes I had to speak on a subject as complex as knowledge management in my pathetic Gujarati. So I got Parimal to write it for me and Kiran to help me. Kiran's here somewhere. She helped me to prepare my Gujarati speech, and I spoke for 20 minutes in Gujarati. So twice I certainly remember sweating. So in my brief sojourn of 5 years in this wonderful history of 75 years, I carry back a lot of wonderful experiences, and my thoughts turn to a little saying from Gibran, which says, it is in the dew of little things that the mind finds its morning and is refreshed. God bless and keep this company as young as ever.
Thank you, Homi. I think you've certainly brought a lot of youthfulness to the company, and also the way you spoke about Innovation Center. We still have the wheel where the moods of employees are displayed, from creative joy to, and people can put that mood. And of course, Homi started the program, what is not known as fun at work. So that really is something which we are carrying on. At this point, I'd like to sort of, this is a joint function. So, and Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan has been sitting patiently and hearing each one of that. We are eager to hear you, sir, now. And you would have held many more functions, but your thoughts on this occasion.
Mr. Mukund, Mr. Vadgama, Mr. Menon, Mr. Homi, Sonawala, friends, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of BSc, I'm pleased to welcome you all today at the opening bell of Tata Chemicals, completing 75 years with the BSc. We are honored to have the Tata Chemicals here, and I congratulate everyone, the directors, the shareholders, and the employees. For me, when I was listening to the stories, it basically shows us the exemplary leadership that has been sort of bestowed on this company. And I believe this will continue. It's a story of creating values and also the story of values. Through its living essentials, portfolio Tata Chemicals has positively impacted the lives of millions. Tata Chemicals is the pioneer and market leader in India's branded iodized salt segment. With the introduction of an innovative, low-cost, nanotechnology-based water purifier, it's also providing affordable, safe drinking water to the masses. For me, Tata Chemicals has gone through many trials and tribulations. It has evolved itself into a new company probably every decade, and it has been true with the BSE also. BSE is around 139 years old. It's older than almost all institutions in this country. It's older than Indian National Congress by 10 years. It's almost double in terms of age compared to the RBI and so on and so forth. It has also helped India create huge amount of wealth. It has been a catalyst to create wealth, taking savings from the savers, the households, and giving into the industries, and in effect, helping create wealth. Today, BSE list is $1.2 trillion of wealth. It is larger than India's total banking assets. In some sense, over the last 3-4 years, something has happened that Indian stock markets have become larger than Indian banking system. Although we keep on watching banks, almost all our newspapers, everything is full of only bank and money, and even today I think they are trying to remove some of the 2005 and old sort of currency notes. But somehow, surreptitiously, BSE has become much larger than the entire banking system. I'm yet to figure out why this is happening, but somewhere on the line, the companies like Tata Chemicals are actually adding that value to BSE every single day. BSE also has evolved from being a floor-based exchange. This used to be the trading floor, actually, of the Bombay Stock Exchange till 1995. In 95, we became automated. While going back, you can see the photographs on the left side wall. In 1995, we became automated, although at the same time, we were also an association of persons from beginning. Only in 2005, government issued a notification to make us a corporate. 2007, we became corporate. Today, in this year, 2014, we are again reinventing ourselves. We have become the fastest exchange in the world. Just to give you a perspective, not in the world, but in India, we are, in 1 second, there are 10 lakh microseconds. We today give, from this month onwards, give a response time of 200 microseconds. So if you place an order on BSE, your response that BSE has confirmed your order will come back in 200 microseconds. It's faster than any other exchange in India by several times. In next 3 years, we will increase the speed by at least 10 times more. So from 200 microseconds, will become 20 microseconds or less in next 3 years. Effectively, BSE has changed itself from being a regulator to now a service provider. We have presence in almost 2,000 cities and towns across India. We have 300,000 users trading on BSE continuously. We used to be a cash market, equities market exchange earlier. Now we are also offering equities derivatives, currency derivatives. Next week we are starting interest rate derivatives. We have mutual funds, IPOs, and so on and so forth. Effectively, as Tata Chemicals is reinventing itself every day, BSE is also trying to keep pace. It reminds me a story. There was a man who did a lot of penance, and God came and said, okay, whatever you want, I'll give you, but I'll give you only one thing. And he said, he thought, and he said, what do I ask for one thing that gives me wealth, health, and longevity? And so he said, God, I want to see my great-grandchildren and play with them in my own palace. And similarly, for me, when Tata Chemicals completes his 500 years, BSE will be there to celebrate that also. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you, Ashish. So, as I said, we usually save the best for the last. And when our chairman found out the date which we were going to hold this function, and he had a clash of commitment in Davos, In fact, he has been following up for recording his message. Finally, we could get everything together finally on a weekend. He came specifically for this, and he gave this special message to all the employees, all the stakeholders who are with us, and also the distinguished guests who are here. He found it difficult to reschedule his commitment because this was made a long, long time ago, and we couldn't change the date. Our date of birth is frozen in time. So it just had to happen that way. So here it is, the message from the chairman, Mr. Cyrus Mistry.
75 years ago, Tata Chemicals embarked on its journey to becoming the company it is today by setting its footprint on the place now commonly known as Mithapur. Tata Chemicals has come a long way in the eventful years since. Besides growing the Mithapur facility into a center for the making of soda ash and salt, contributing handsomely to India's chemical industry, the company has also played a part in improving the country's nutritional well-being through iodized and fortified salts, unpolished dals, and safe drinking water. The company has also, through its farm essentials, helped realize the objectives of the green revolution that transformed India's agriculture. In spreading its wings to secure a global presence and carving a niche for itself in promising new industry segments, Tata Chemicals has matured into a stellar example for all that is representative of the Tata ethos of business and pioneering spirit. Ethical in entrepreneurship, innovation, and a selfless allegiance to social causes. As we stand on the threshold of Tata Chemicals' 75th year of existence, let us recall the exceptional efforts of many past leaders, employees, and various other stakeholders in enabling the company to reach this memorable milestone. The Tata Chemicals motto, serving society through science, continues to reinforce and reflect the company's commitment to those whose lives it touches. There are tremendous opportunities to be grasped as Tata Chemical marches into the future. And I'm confident that the passion and energy so visible in Tata Chemicals will propel it to even greater heights in the years ahead. I wish all the employees of the company the very best on this happy occasion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, I mentioned about Hazaron Khwaishein going forward, and I heard Chairman also on the journey forward, but Hazaron Khwaishein finally has to be, finally meets at the doorstep of a money man. So at this point, please put your hands together. I invite our CFO, PK Ghosh, to come and give us a small speech. So here is the man who will control the Hazaron Khwaishein.
Completing its 75th year of existence now, one can only be reminiscent about a journey that was once advised to be in the wrong place doing the wrong job. But an undaunted J.R.D. Tata replied, "This is not the first time that we have done this. When we go to a place, we arouse hopes." And that summarizes our story at Tata Chemicals. We have seen success snatched out of our repeated failures. For the first 16 years, Tata Chemicals could not declare dividends. And today, with consistent focus on building customer centricity, growing brand equity, developing innovative solutions, and successful execution, we have witnessed a five-fold increase in the revenue over the last 10 years. Our 75 years meteoric rise has been a tribute to the men who had faith and nerve to take the knocks so that India could have a self-reliant basic inorganic chemicals. And some of them sit on this stage today. As you have heard, there was a period of time in history of this company when calamities like the earthquake, the fire in the power plant, a severe downturn in the soda ash market, a customer who turned a competitor, almost brought the company down to its knees. That was the time when the company developed, which many of you will remember who are present here from the past, is the defend, consolidate, and grow strategy. Soon, we started on our acquisition spree, and our first acquisition was the Hindustan Lever Chemicals, followed by the joint venture with Imacid in Morocco, the Brunamont Group in UK, Magadi Soda Company, and the Journal Chemicals. And very recently, of course, we acquired British Salt and a stake in the EPM Mining Ventures. Then came the global financial crisis. And once again, the company stood to the challenge and shifted focus completely from profits to cash. So much cash was generated that we could withstand that pressure easily. Today, of course, as Mukunda said, the company's drivers of growth will be the Indian consumer and agri-products and services backed by innovation-led products. On this occasion, I would like to thank our former and present directors, Mr. Naushir Sonawala, Mr. R.C. Khanna, Mr. Nasir Manji, Mr. Mahesh Rao, Dr. Yoginder Alag, Mr. Kapil Mehan, Dr. Thorat, and special thanks to you, sir, Mr. Chauhan, for being present in this function today. But I can't conclude without a line each on the three past managing directors who are sitting on this stage. Mr. Vadgama, I'm amazed that after having left this company 20 years ago, still takes so much active interest in this company. Prasad, during his tenure, you've heard what crisis we went through. But when the soda ash market collapsed, he made the company rise from the ashes. He earned us the right to grow. And Homi, of course, you have heard, made the biggest acquisition during his tenure of Journal Chemicals, which made us the second largest soda ash company in the world. So, friends, let us today pledge ourselves to creating a new look TCL and continue to serve society through science. Before I conclude, thanks to the White Leaf team, the BSc team, Taj President, Edelman team, Pixten team, VAT Consultants, TIC India, and many others within and outside the company who have supported this backend. Thank you very much.
I think we thought this was a private event. I'm told now that there's a press Q&A right here, so I don't know how we're going to manage this, but here we go. We've allotted 10 minutes for this. Before breaking for breakfast, I thought I was going to invite all of you, but you will have to call? You'll call. So it's over to the press. You may just raise your hand and ask questions. Yeah, thank you. I think if any employee needs to say a few words, you're okay. If there are no questions from the press, I think if any one of our colleagues want to speak a few words, we are more than happy to. Dr. Alag. Across to Dr. Alag.
I also write for the Indian Express.
So you're a journalist.
Huh? Yeah. So, will you give us some ideas of what the next 5 years are going to be like?
What the next 5 years is going to be like?
Next. Okay. Firstly, I think what they've done is that they've just announced the press is going to do one-on-one separately. So this is off that, and we have breakfast served. So that's something we'll do in the next 5 minutes. And since you asked me what will the next 5 years be, and I want to tell you this. One of the things I always speak to people and our teams is that the future is going to be crafted differently from today. And if you really ask me, I think worst is probably behind us in terms of economy, if you look at the external environment. But there are 5, 6 forces which we will have to embrace, and I think lots of them have been highlighted by what many people have spoken. One is the increased focus on sustainability. I think we cannot but forget sustainability is going to be the core of everything we do. Secondly is an issue which I always talk about, innovation and technology. I think technology, whether you talk about digitization, whether you talk about technology in terms of the way we deliver our products and what is inside the products, intelligent products, I think these will be the ways the market will reshape itself. And finally, I would say all this can't be done if you don't have a talent, which is a bunch of people who can think through. I think the human capital, I think one of the things I've been internally speaking is that change this term human resource, because resource is depleting, but capital is something which grows. Actually, we should look at our teams as human capital. And immediately in our midst today, India is going through massive revolution. When India turns $3 trillion economy, $2 trillion will be in 24 cities, which means a massive urbanization. So the consumer habits are going to shift. People are going to move from loose to package, from package within unbranded to branded. All this is huge opportunity for us. Also, with the reduction in arable land, with the pressures on land available and the growing population, the productivity issue for farm is going to increase. Again, a tremendous opportunity for the 2 platforms we've chosen. So clearly, I think, as we've explained, and has also been highlighted by Chairman and Vice Chairman, our focus is going to be that we've become the second largest soda ash, but I think we need to build strong platform on the farm and consumer front, and we have all the stuff to do it. 80 million households, nobody touches, we touch. The kind of deep distribution and the kind of brand equity which Tata Salt has, we have. And also we touch 85% of arable land of India. We've got direct relation with 10 million farmers, and that counts for a lot. So with these 2 platforms and with a great team which is right here in front of us, we will see great days ahead. That's all I can say. Thank you.